Hey guys, it's me, Alexis. I'm back with another video, and I would like to just jump right in. I want you guys to do a little exercise with me or a little activity with me, and then I'm going to explain it later, okay? So, this is the manifest bias activity that I have. I don't know if something similar is already out there, probably so. And this is something that I participated in unintentionally and then kind of had an awakening or a realization back in 2022. And so now I wrote a paper on it too, which I might leave in the description. But now I would like to do this activity with you and know your thoughts about it. All right. So let's get started. So for this activity, you're not going to need to look at the screen or anything. I'm just going to be talking with you and I want you to visualize what I'm talking about. Okay. So imagine that you are going on a trip, okay? Now, the caveat is that this trip does not have any time boundaries, it does not have any money boundaries, and it is just a trip with yourself. So you're not taking family, kids, nothing like that. But money is not an object, time is not an object. Just pretend like the world is perfect and you got the time off of work and you have an unlimited amount of funds to go on a trip to anywhere that you would like. All right, so now let's go through the exercise. Okay, so you wake up early, bright and early in the morning for your trip to get ready to get on your flight. You get up, you brush your teeth, you wash your face, you take a shower, then your bags are already packed from the night before, so you get a ride to the airport. After you get a ride to the airport, you go through customs and then you walk around a little bit more, you decide to get something for lunch. And after waiting for maybe an hour and a half, then they start calling to board your flight. So you get in line, you board your flight, and you take your seat. After taking your seat, you write in a little journal about what you're going to do. You double check plans. You let family members know, like, hey, I'm leaving, or hey, I made it on the plane. All right. And then you just take off into the skies. All right. After you take off into the skies, then you fall asleep. And when you wake up, it is already time for landing. Then you land, you deplane. After you deplane, you're going to go to baggage claim to get your bags or anything like that. And then you're going to call a ride to the place that you're staying. You could stay anywhere that you want to stay. So you call your ride after getting your bags, or maybe you have arrangements already, and you end up going to the place that you're going to stay for this trip that you're taking. After you get to the place that you're going to stay, you check your itinerary for all of the fun activities that you're going to do and take a moment to think about the activities and how you booked them and how you're going to get there. Then, after taking a look at the activities, it's pretty late at night now, so you decide to get some rest and then begin your new journey tomorrow. All right, so that is the full activity. And now I want to give you just a little bit of background about why I wanted to have you guys do that and what manifest bias actually is. So, I used to be a flight attendant for 2 different airlines, and we at the second training, we did this activity, and it was a way for us to recognize different biases that we have, and the instructor that we had, as we went through this, he did the same thing, and as we went through this, he said, "Was your pilot a woman? Were any of the flight attendants black or brown?" And da da da, just basically talking about different biases. Asking if we saw any people who were differently abled or who had disabilities, sitting next to us or in the airport over, right? So after we did this, I had an epiphany. And let me tell you what my trip was like, right? We same activity. So with my trip, I got up, I called an Uber to the airport. I called an Uber pool actually because I wanted to save the money. This is in my dreams, mind you. I called an Uber pool to the airport to save money, and I didn't even take it directly to the airport. I took it to like the hotel next to the airport so that I could save even more money. I flew like Southwest Airlines. I sat in the middle seat, and I'm not even making this up or like I'm not trying to do this for the video, but this is genuinely what I thought. I sat in the middle seat. I didn't even remember having like it wasn't comfortable. It wasn't a fun experience in my dreams, right? I get off the plane. I remember going to baggage claim and trying to get under that 50-pound limit or 40-pound limit or whatever they have now. And then I called another Uber, but I remember as I was imagining, I was trying to go for the cheapest Uber, the cheapest option. And then I chose for my place to stay just an Airbnb that was cheap and that I could afford, right? And after we went through this activity, I literally went up to the instructor. I was like, "Oh my gosh, like I was like, I literally had a dream. Like, I literally imagined myself in the middle seat, not even like first class. Mind you, you can imagine whatever you want, right? So I didn't imagine first class. I didn't imagine, smooth sailing. I didn't imagine a private truck. And I didn't imagine anything like I imagined what I was used to, right? Because I was a flight attendant. I had just become a new flight attendant. They don't pay me during training. So I literally was imagining what I have already experienced. I wasn't thinking outside the box. I wasn't thinking like, oh, okay, I could think of anything. Oh, I'm gonna do, Qatar Airways. I'm gonna do first class Emirates. I'm private jet. I could have done PJ and I did not do it. And that really woke me up because I think a lot of the times we daydream or we think about things, even in passing, just very, very quickly. And we don't realize that we're probably imagining scenarios that are like mediocre, subpar, or things that we've already experienced, even when we're manifesting. And I think manifesting can happen in so many different ways, but although we might not be actively manifesting, we're still daydreaming, we're still thinking about things, we're still creating scenarios in our head, right? So I literally went up to my instructor. I was like, "Oh my God, like, thank you for doing this activity with me. You just made me realize like I have a lot of work to do." I literally imagined myself penny pinching in my dreams. I imagine myself choosing the cheapest option in my dreams. Mind you, this is our imagination. You should be holding no you shouldn't be holding back, you shouldn't be penny pinching, none of that. And I get that people have different preferences. Some people are like, well, I like the middle seat because XYZ. I like Uber pool because, blah, blah, blah. I get to meet people, talk to people. That's all fine and dandy. But for me personally, I don't like middle seats. I feel very uncomfortable flying coach. I would prefer first class. So that was just something very interesting. And I wrote a paper about it, just detailing and kind of just thinking more about how sometimes we'll dream about things or we'll think about things and we'll be so limiting in what we're thinking and biased to the point where it is affecting what we're manifesting. And I'm calling it manifest biased. Again, I'm sure that it's something else, somewhere else. I'm sure that this isn't a new concept, but that was just a really cool activity that I did that like really woke me up. And that's something that I wanted to do with you all too. And if you did do this and you all of a sudden are like, "Oh my gosh, like I kind of imagined stuff that wasn't the best," or I kind of imagined scenarios that really weren't comfortable or really weren't what I would want for real if that was a real situation where I could travel with no limits and no money constraints or time constraints, like I probably would do it differently now. If you thought that way, I would love to hear below. I would love to hear, you know, what you thought of the first time and then maybe the second time around what you think or after the explanation what you think. And really take this into account with everything with when you're thinking about the type of house you want to live in, the type of place that you want to stay, the type of cars that you want to have, where you want your kids to go to school, what you want to do in your life, like where you want to grocery shop, anything. Anytime you are daydreaming or imagining, imagine the best scenario possible. Even if it's far fetched, even if it's like, okay, well, that'll never happen, it might, right? If you think about it in a way that is productive and if you truly want it, it could happen. You know what I'm saying? So, yeah, that's just I thought was a really cool activity that I wanted to do with y'all. Again, let me know below what let me know below like what you thought and don't, be honest with yourself too. Like if you really imagine something that was like dope, you're like, yep, I imagine exactly what I wanted. I have no issues. Love it. Let me know. But that was a couple of years ago. So now I'm very different. I think of things differently and it's still work. I still had to build up to the point that I'm at now and I have a long way to go. However, I'm glad that now when I think about my future, it's not mediocre and it's not struggling pity pitching. So let me know your thoughts below, guys. Bye.